Hey guys, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So, August was interesting month for me because I picked up some books that was just never heard of, authors I've never heard of. And then there are about two that were questionable, but I was so glad I picked it up. For the most part, I've only disliked one book in the pack, and that says a lot. So, I'm going to start off with the non-novel stuff, which is poetry. I enjoy this. This is from Morgan Parker. Other people's comfort keep me up at night. I enjoy this poetry style. Poetry style. I like the pop culture reference in some of this. I like the it's like a storytelling. There's a bit of continuation with several poems. And so I read one of these in a reading vlog, but I just like the style of poetry. This is just my kind of poetry setup, and I am going to be reading this over and over and share more through other videos. But I definitely recommend, if you're looking for a poetry book that is different and going to give you what you want, pick this up. Then I read this romance book that it's more of a love story. I really don't like calling it romance because it's really a love story, not so much the romance part. And that is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Now this is a coming of age, also has a bit of second chance romance and mental health, family saga, all that is mixed up with these couple. And they are the kind of couple that I personally don't think they need to be together. I do like the fact that they're learning from each other and they're healing. But there's something about them that I personally was just like, absolutely not. But the way the story is told, you're still rooting for them in a way that you're like, yeah, maybe they need to be together. But then at the same time, you're like, oh God, no. In real life, no. I love the writing style. I love how the story was told, the back and forth, and how you're learning what really happened to them, and also how they are dealing with their problem that they are fully aware of, which is always a plus when you get to stories like this. So this was a yes. Then I got into the books where I'm like, what am I reading? Build Your House Around My Body, and this is Violet Cooper-Smith. Yeah, I think that's how I'm pronouncing it. Hopefully some of these names, guys, I am struggling with proper pronunciation, but this is a book that I wasn't sure what the heck am I reading, and it turned out I really love it. This is a fall book. This is a October Halloween book. This is creepy, shift change. Shift change, that's the word. Yeah. Snakes. There is food. This is about the disappearance of one woman and the runaway of another, if that's all I'm gonna say. And what happened to them. But you're getting series of days before the disappearance, or weeks before the disappearance, years before the disappearance. There's certain things you're getting. This is Vietnam, so you're getting a whole lot of their folktale up in this, their magical realism in here. But this took me on a ride that I didn't expect, that I didn't think I was going to enjoy if I had known what this book was about prior to picking it up. So in a way, I am so glad that I jumped into this blind, because I end up actually really liking the creepy, crazy, everything that was happening in this story. I end up really enjoying it. So then I read 5 of Man Booker. So we have 1, 2, 3, 5 Man Booker, guys. So let's start with the first one, which is the Sweetness of Water, Nathan Harris. Now this was one of Oprah's pick for the summer prior to the announcement of the Booker Prize long list, and I wasn't sure, but this was a movie. If you've seen my review, you know how I feel about this. Go watch my review. I thought this was such an adventure and tragic, but also triumph and strength that these characters have. And you know, it really shows that, you know, in a creative way how she has a white family who is, you know, they were dealing with grief of what they thought, and there's a bit of a sexuality, secrets, comfort, communication that's in the mix with this family. And then you have two brothers who are free, recent free slave. This is right after the Civil War kicks happened, and they're free. They're trying to find their way in the world, but they also want to find their mother. So they know there's things that they have to do because they have no money. They have no foundation. They're new free slaves. And end up happening is one gets killed, and you realize why they got that one particular got killed, and all the things that's happening around it, and series of events happen. Now, like I said, it just felt like this is a daggone movie. Like, this needs to be in production already, you know, that kind of deal. I just love the adventure part of it, and the whole that whole heroes thing that's what's happening in this, especially for a particular character that just didn't have it. Or there's also that survival thing, that new to you kind of situation, especially for the new free slave. There, now you're free, what do you do? How do you handle the situation? And then that certain part of it where I liked where when something happened where that person felt powerful, although it comes with serious consequence. I did like that. So yeah, I could ramble on and on about that book because there's so much going on in that book, but pick it up. The book I did not like. Yeah. Carl and the Sun, I didn't like it. This was like it felt like a YA, a boring YA that didn't give me it didn't give me none. It didn't give me anything. I just didn't get nothing from this book. I got nothing from it. I'm just gonna be really honest. I think some people was like, oh, it's okay, and they felt a certain way about it. That I personally have to be honest with me. I talked about a lot of books on this channel, and I'm very honest in how I feel about the books. I'm not gonna try to convince you to read a book if I don't like it. I don't like it. Not gonna recommend you read it because I don't like it. I would give you, the only good thing I could say about this, the man can write. His writing style I did like. It's just the storyline was just not for me. The storyline was just blah, flat, boring. That's just how I felt about it, and I don't know how this got on the freaking list, but I got nothing. I have nothing to give when it comes to this book. Then I was so glad. The next book I picked up, The Promise. This now is a booker. This is definitely a top 6. The short list, I definitely see this on. I would be shocked if this does not make the short list. This was a story that really had 4 parts and family, and each part there is a death and one character, things are happening throughout. So each death there's a promise, there's something that was not fulfilled, and how these family are dealing with it every single death that's happening to the end. And it shows that whole what was really happening for one particular character of letting go, running away, getting away from things that is not healthy for that individual. But also, this is South Africa during the apartheid era and after the apartheid era. And this is a white family who are so far removed from reality in a lot of things, because you're reading this and you know what's happening at the time in South Africa. But they're like, life goes on kind of personality going on in this. Like, you know, you get to see that. But then there are some historical content in terms of the what was happening in South Africa during the funeral and decision that they have to make that affects them because of what was happening in South Africa. That kind of deal. I did a review on this. Go check it out. This is a booker. And then this book, I love. shocking, right? This is China Room, and this is Sanji Sahoda, and this one is another historical fiction. So you guys know I love some historical fiction. So you give me this with some historical fiction and give me some tragic romance in the mix. The two things I enjoy. Oh yeah. So I really wasn't sure where this book was going at first because it's a marriage with three, well, essentially three pair. You don't know who you're married to, and there's that attraction that happens, and you wonder what. And this individual had to decide. Well, her emotion thought that she was going to be able to tell who her husband is, and then there's that betrayal. There is that love, that unexpected feeling, that whole family drama. There is this particular mother who is just in control and wants to control everything, and there's all this drama happening in this book that I was just like, when it got to the end, I was like, no, you know, I was rooting for them, you know. And then not only are you in 29 India, you also have the current in this, which is 1999, where they, you know, the grandson of one of the individual, and hearing myths about the China Room and not knowing what is true and what is not. But then there's that moment where it felt like history is about to repeat itself, and you're just like, no. That kind of deal. I thought this was nice. I loved it. I don't know. I don't know. It's just one of those books that you like, how do you explain it to someone without really like saying too much? That kind of deal. But this was a short one too, and it was just, yeah, I liked it a lot. And then this one surprised the heck out of me too. Second place, Rachel Cuss. Now let me tell you, art, when you can put art in a book and have it as a metaphor and symbolic in a way that make the story so creative, you got me. And this is how the author did this. Now, what I would say about the writing in this is very poetic. The woman can write, and she's the kind of writer, because I tend to love writers who write in a poetic style, because it just makes you more emotionally connected to the story, and you feel for the characters more because of how it's being told. And this is what you get in this. This is more of a woman who had this bit of a drawn to a famous artist, and she invited him to stay at her guest house, and the expectation of him being there is what drives the story, and things that's happening with her family and him and all this. And when you get to that moment in the book where you realize so much about the character herself, and there's that self-awareness that she has about herself, but also that whole walk in the wrong direction kind of situation that's going on as well, that made it very much interested. And I just, it's something about the connection that I had with the story. I understood her. And I understand that there are so many people who are like that, who are going through that point in their life that they're second guessing the decisions that they made, the life they created, and wondering if something better was out there, kind of deal. And you get that from this character, and I really, really, really was like, yeah, that was a good one. And then, oops, then we have The Beast. Look at this. This was a whole lot of history. A whole lot of history. This is Island Queen Vanessa writing. Now, this is a book that is based on Dorothy Thomas. Now, Dorothy Thomas, also known as Dolly, is considered the first wealthy black woman in the Caribbean. And this book is really packed with facts, but of course there are things about this book that is fiction, because she doesn't know. She has to, you know, add on. So, which is why the book is really considered a novel and not a bio. Now, what I would say is, while reading this book and knowing certain things that's happening and being able to research it and realize, oh, this did happen, makes it even more interesting and also more painful to read, because she went through hell. This is a woman from a very young age had to make those really bad decisions because she was born into slavery. Mother was a slave, father plantation owner and slave owner of her and in her family essentially, and a brother who is of course white and have this jealousy of her and decided to make her life a living hell and did some unthinkable things to this woman, and she ended up having to leave Montserrat, and she ended up in various countries in the Caribbean where she was able to get wealth, and how she got wealth there, how she survived, and how she has all these kids. At the end of the book, she ended up with 11 kids, and the men who came in her life, some for good, some for not, harm, and how she treasured her family and fought to free her family. That's the biggest thing I got from this, is how she was able to pay for her own freedom, her children's freedom, her mother, everybody in her family that she could find. She found a way to pay for them to be free. So this is the 1700s, the late 1700s. So she's living free life as a black woman with her family, and there's slavery happening. There are ships coming in with slaves, and she has to live amongst that and still find a way to help where she could secretly, and also subject herself to a lot of bad things for that. And you see that as a woman, that era, that these women sacrifice, their body, their soul to get to survive and to help and to get where they need to go. And there's generation of this that benefited from what this woman did. And it's interesting how you think of how so many black people who had to essentially become slave owner themselves, because they had to buy their family and buy people in their life, and even buy some that came off the ship to save them. And a lot of people don't know about that history, or they don't really acknowledge that, but that happened. And it's sad that, you end up, that's the only way to free your family, is to actually own them. It's amazing, amazing. This story really, really touched me in a lot of ways and made me really want to know more about her. Even the not so great part that she did some things that she had to do, and it's not the greatest, but it's survival and how she was able to help her family. And there are some things in this that I still want to research more, and her connection with some royalty and all that other stuff that she had to. But yeah, it's an amazing book. I highly recommend it. And I love historical fiction that really, give you a lot of things that you didn't know. And there's certain islands that I definitely want to learn more about their past in that era, and certain kind of rebellion, revolt, slave revolt and stuff like that happened, that that I found very interesting. So yeah, so if you can't tell, I did a whole video on this. Go check it out. And I did a DIY project, and yeah, that was a fun video to do when I was reviewing that book, so go check it out. But yeah, guys, it was a good month. It was a amazing month. Ooh. And can't believe I read this much, but I had no life in okay. I didn't do much, so hopefully I get to read some more Booker. I wish the shortlist was out again so I could just focus on the shortlist, but I'm hoping at least 3 of these books are on the shortlist. At least. I think so. Yeah, guys, so thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye.